Three, two, one. What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from here, Spirit presented to you by NoelGameDay.com. We're here for our instant reaction to Florida State's win on Saturday night against North Alabama, 58-13. Wasn't a pretty start whatsoever for the Seminoles, and with that included, even more brutal of a game for Florida State fans as they watch their QB1, their senior, the guy that helped build this program to what it is, back to how it's supposed to be in Tallahassee. Jordan Travis going down with an apparent, really gruesome leg injury. With Austin and I actually watching it, not being there at the stadium, we got a kind of clear ahead view of what Jordan Travis was dealing with. And I think it took a little while for some of the fans there in the stands to find out, and those in the press box as well, until they saw the broadcast. But absolutely heartbreaking injury for the biggest leader on this team, super fan favorite, and a person that does a ton of stuff off the field as well. Just someone that really shows off the program in the exact way that you want your QB1 to do, and that was Jordan Travis. And he went straight to the hospital in the ambulance after the injury. And we're waiting on more info from Mike Norvell. We heard from Mike Norvell during the halftime interview and said that things, it didn't look good. But he exclaimed that he doesn't have any kind of official update yet. So we'll be listening to the press conference here. We've got it over here on the side. So if we hear anything more, we'll be sure to inform you guys. But with me this evening, Austin Veazey, our lead basketball guy and game preview guy for the season. Veazey, I did not want to even come on here and really do a show. This is the really tough part about sometimes having these kind of jobs when you get so close to these players. And I'll be honest, it was a little emotional for me to see Jay Trav dealing and suffering that injury. But Florida State get it done, 58-13.
It's super, super bittersweet night for everybody. I mean, just for what Jordan Travis was for this university, for this program, this program climbing out of the depths of hell 3 years ago, and here we were 10-0, looking like it was going to be 11-0 heading in tonight with North Alabama on the schedule. It was a senior night. It was supposed to be a great celebration for Jordan Travis. He does what he always does. He escapes the pocket, makes a great play. He goes down. You don't think anything of it. And then the camera is kind of just lingering there. I'm like, what's taking so long? Then you just see his angle at a 90-degree angle, or his ankle at a 90-degree angle. I'm just like, oh my God. Just a insane, surreal feeling. I feel so bad for him. Feel bad for his family. Florida State at least got the win. Credit to the guys for rallying together, doing what was necessary to get a big victory, 58-13. But it sucks, man. I feel so bad for Jordan Travis. As someone that's had numerous rough injuries myself, I feel him, and I pray for him so much.
When you go through something like that as a team, your biggest leader, you just kind of, you could just tell on the sidelines. And that's how this team is built now. This culture has been built. They really do love every teammate on the squad. We've seen in years past too, with some apparent injuries, the team all going out there to the cart. This team loves one another, but when it's Jordan Travis like this, a guy that really put his team on his back the last couple of years to get where they are now, it took a while. It was heartbreak for those players. That's got to be one of my most impressive ways of kind of turning your mentals around and having to compete in a game where you don't want nothing to do for the rest. You don't even want to go out there. You want to kind of call it a day and go check on your boy that's in the hospital that just got put on to a car and to the ambulance. And so just to see them, I knew it was going to take a little while, and that's understandable. There's a lot of mistakes, a lot of drops, a lot of guys just in their head, and that was understandable. But like you said, though, they take care of business at the end. A lot of youngsters making some plays too that we saw, but it just goes to show too how much Jordan Travis means to this entire program. And Doak Campbell Stadium was an utter shock. I couldn't imagine being there.
Not even just Doak, really all of college football. Just so many heartfelt messages from. I've seen it from RG3 to Tim Tebow to everybody. Everybody loves Jordan Travis. He's such a great representative of this universe, of this university, and Florida State's going to have to find a way. He's still going to continue meaning a lot for this team. I'm sure he's going to be doing just as much that he can off the field as he can. Florida State's going to have to find ways to win. Tate Rodemaker shows himself tonight to leave some optimism going forward, and maybe the defense can be good enough to still get into the playoffs.
Yep, it's now on to a new era at quarterback, barring any kind of change from what we saw for Jordan Travis in that injury. This looks like it's going to be Tate Rodemaker's team moving forward, and they still this conversation. We're going to have a big show on Wednesday. Nonetheless, we were going to Florida State is going into a hostile environment with the Gators next weekend, and VZ. We were also talking to. Mertz is also injured. It seems like he's injured now against Missouri. So this might be two backups facing one another on Saturday night. I don't know if we have an update yet on that, but I know they did have their backup in just a little bit ago.
Yeah, it's some kind of apparent shoulder injury. I just watched the play where it happened. It really doesn't look like it didn't look like anything at first. He got up and signaled first down, and I guess left the game. Tough situation for both teams, man. I don't wish injuries upon anybody. Again, I've been there. I've been through 2 hip surgeries, 3 broken arms, a broken ankle. I've been there, and it's never any fun. It's just as tough mentally as it is physically, and really, really praying for the best for both of those guys. And it still doesn't change anything. Florida State Saturday. It's the biggest game of the season for a lot of fans, for a lot of the team. And they're going to have to find a way to get up for this game. Florida State's gotten off to slow starts for most of this season. And now you're going to be playing with a quarterback that plays an entirely different style of play than Jordan Travis. At times we would get on Jordan Travis for, maybe putting too much touch on the ball, not getting it there quick enough. Tate Rodemaker has one club in the bag, and it is a driver. Every ball is 100 miles an hour. Even the screen pass that Keziah Holmes scored on was 100 miles an hour. And I think that kind of led to some of the drops we saw today is they're just not used to some of these fastballs. And they're going to have to get used to that for this game.
Yep, they are 100%. And like you're saying, this offense is going to change. Hold on real quick. I'm going to try to get the live stream here from Mike Norvell. Hopefully the audio will work. Fingers crossed.
Game didn't start off how we wanted. Faced adversity on the field early. Had a punt fake that hit us. They did a good job of running basically a variety of different plays and formations, and were able to get out to an early lead. But offensively didn't start how we wanted. Missed some opportunities. Obviously, when Jordan went down, that was something that nobody ever wants to see a player go down, and don't have any updates on it tonight, so just so everybody's aware. But I was proud of the way that our guys responded throughout the course of the game, and as you sit there and you watch a football team come together, I thought our guys did that at a very high level. We knew all 3 phases we had to continue to rise up. I thought our defense was great, for the basically throughout the rest of the game. Offensively, we were able to get into a little bit of a rhythm. You hit some big plays. You had a couple big runs. You had a variety of different guys offensively. You were asked to contribute. We had some other guys that we had some bumps and bruises. Really in all phases. Some guys that went down. So really had to and got to play a lot of guys that got some significant action. Wasn't the cleanest game. Like I said, we had too many drops. Too many missed opportunities. I thought Tate did a great job coming in, and other than a few mistakes here and there, was really good tonight. And what he did, where he located the ball. He made a couple great decisions just in progressions and read, and he showed that all the work he's been putting in he was ready for his moment when his number was called. And as we come out of tonight, you sit there and you finish up the regular season undefeated here at Doak Campbell Stadium, and that's something that we're so very proud of. And for the 5 straight sellouts to end the season. I mean, our crowd was remarkable. Just great atmosphere. It's to be able to honor the seniors, to be able to honor the guys that played their last game, in our stadium. I mean, it was special. I thought your defense being able to create some takeaways. Jerry and Jones, I thought was remarkable. Had a couple of huge plays with the sack fumble. And then, obviously the interception there, later in the game. I mean, he's been so good for us this year, and he's continuing to grow, continuing to push. It was definitely a great performance on his part. He broke the rock for us there after the game. But I thought it was a great showcase of the heart and the character that our guys have, because sometimes those games they bring more anxiety. If you find yourself in a situation that's tough, I was just talking to the team about this. Nobody pictures being down in that game early, but it was a circumstance we found ourselves in, and there's a lot of reasons why, a lot of things that that we can correct. But in the moment, it's all about what you do with the next play. It's all about what your belief is. It's all about, are you going to be willing to block out, the anxiety and the pressure that you feel, and just go play one. And, we've been through a lot, man. We've been through a lot of adversity. We've been through a lot of challenges as a team and as a program. But, I'm very proud of our guys for just the way that they do all things that they do. And we're going to continue to push, going to continue to get better. We got a huge game this next week. Obviously having to go on the road with an opportunity to try to finish the regular season undefeated. And our guys have put us in this position. And so, everything we have is going to go into our preparation to being our best come next Saturday.
So Mike Norvell talking to the media after the game for Florida State's win over North Alabama. I'm going to bring up the stat broadcast here so we can look at some stats, VZ. But overall, outside of Jordan Travis's injury, let's talk about Tate Rodemaker, because this is how this team is going to have to go forward, and they're going to have to switch up some things offensively. But overall, what were your thoughts on his game, and also getting to some of his wide receivers?
It took him a little bit to get settled down, which you completely understand. I mean, he gets thrown into the fire on senior day. He just watched the leader of the team go down with a pretty gruesome injury, and now he's out there playing football. Things have to get going. And the first series was rough. Had to punt pretty quickly, but once he got settled down, once he was able to get on time with his receivers, it looked fine. Even some of his incompletions were right on the money, a couple drops, but the ball was right where it needed to be. And I think as the week progresses and the team gets used to playing with Tate's arm, they'll be fine come next Saturday. And like I said earlier, a lot of optimism coming from him, a lot of optimism coming from what we saw from Brock Glenn today. I think Florida State should be in a fine position. Just going to be a lot more different of an offense moving forward, because you don't have Jordan Travis back there who can get you out of any jam coming from any kind of blitz. Not saying that Rodemaker isn't athletic, but he's not Jordan Travis.
No, there's not a lot of players in the country that have that elusiveness that you can keep a play going like Jordan Travis. That's what makes him so special and an immaculate as a college football player to watch. And so now with Tate Rodemaker, going to have to switch some things up offensively. Alex Atkins, Mike Norvell, that whole entire offensive staff are going to have to sit at the drawing board moving forward. And that's not something to where you have to change your whole entire system with Rodemaker. He's able to run. We see it in practices. We've seen him in games. We saw him on the road at Louisville. He is able to play in this offense. You just got to make things a little bit more easier going for him than maybe what you had with Jordan Travis, and it's going to be a little bit more simpler at times. And Florida State's really going to have to rely too on that running back room, which we saw. There's so much talent there. It was nice to see that widespread of talent that Florida State has in that backfield, but it's not really too much of maybe the running back room you're going to start relying on, but they've got to improve there on the interior offensive line. Some of the blocking, getting beat in the trenches at North Alabama, that can't work. But just, overall blocking, Byers can't get beat on some of these blocks from the outside, allowing sacks. Tate Rodemaker doesn't have that kind of awareness like Jordan Travis, because he just hasn't been out there to build that experience like J-Trav has. So some things are going to have to change offensively. You're going to have to look at some units to take a bigger step moving forward if you want to continue to make this run into a deep postseason run.
Yeah, they're definitely going to simplify some things, change some things, because the one thing I was frustrated with on Tate's side was he took a long time to get the snap off for most of that third quarter, and you're just like, come on, time's ticking. They took one delay. A couple plays later, Norvell had to take a timeout to to avoid another delay of game. That's got to get fixed, whether that's getting the play call in quicker, whether that's just calling simpler plays. That's something they got to get figured out. And then obviously the offensive line has to be better. North Alabama had 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. It felt like a lot more. It's bad when you can't get push on North Alabama, much less some of these other teams that Florida State's played recently. I don't know what's been up with this offensive line. We've been talking about it all year, but they've seen some serious regression despite losing just one starter from last year, and then they've rotated some other pieces. But it's not been pretty. They've really got to get it figured out for not only next week against Florida, but Louisville in the ACC championship as well.
One thing too that we've got to mention here, not just Jordan Travis going down, but a handful of guys also got dinged up throughout the game. Significant one here. I was talking about the offensive line because I was about to mention, man, these guys have been dinged up. We were hoping to end the preview last week on Wednesday's show that we'd be able to say, all right, so bang, take out Maurice Smith because that man's been dealing with something. Get him some extra rest. Don't keep him in there for long. But he ends up being taken out of the game. He's on the trainer's shoulders coming out, getting his knee looked at. That's what's been bothering him from what I've been able to tell in games. And so Maurice Smith, now that's your starting center. Although you've been able to find reliability with, Darius Washington at times when he needs to come in and play at the center position. But then, too, you look on the defensive side. Renardo Green, injured. You're one of your top cornerbacks, one of your top DBs, injured in this game on the sideline, in a sling, in street clothes. In that second half, Florida State getting hurt there. And then also, Trey Benson got dinged up there. He seemed to be fine afterward, got a nasty shot on the sideline to his ribs. And so Florida State, really dealt with a variety of things throughout this game, but we're going to keep a very close eye on Maurice Smith and Renardo Green and their availability moving forward going into Florida State's matchup on the road against the Gators on Saturday night.
And not only them, but Dustin Hill took a pretty big shot late in the game on helmet-to-helmet contact that wasn't called. Hakeem Williams didn't play. He's been in boot for what seems like the last month. We didn't see Kalen DeLoach today. He was out for whatever reason. Nothing's been announced there. At least, Norvell may have said something in the press conference, but we haven't been able to see that yet. Kevin Knowles didn't play, which, whatever. But it's as much as you want Florida State to win, this is the worst case of a scenario you can have in a win. Starting quarterback goes down, starting center goes down, your best corner goes down, running back gets hurt. I mean, this is what we've been trying to avoid all year in some of these bigger games, or in the bigger matchups you expect, like the Syracuse's and the Virginia Techs. You're like, Florida State will take care of business. Just get in and get out healthy. That's what you're hoping for in this one, and it just unfortunately didn't happen. And, it sucks. Injuries will always be a part of this sport, but, man, it sucks to see it in this game against North Alabama, when Florida State's having their best season in a decade. Really, really sucks to see on all fronts.
Too, I missed this as well because it was so early in the game, but I was shocked. Kalen DeLoach fully dressed out, but didn't play one snap, and I don't think that's necessarily in like the NFL way, a veteran day. That's weird for him to be fully dressed. We saw the entire starting unit for the linebackers out there, so something to monitor. It seemed like he was walking around fine at least, but maybe dealing with an illness, sickness. But he has been an absolute star for Florida State's defense overall, if not the biggest star this season on that side of the ball. Something that we will watch as well as we go into practice week for Florida State. You looking weird right there with your reaction. What's happening?
I was just looking at the comments, looking at this guy contradict himself. Oh. Keep going.
Oh.
You see it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, just looking at look at the rushing stat. Look at the stat line. Look how fat this whole rushing is. CJ Campbell, 78 yards. Look at CJ. Then look at the true freshman, Samuel Singleton, second in leading on the night, 52 yards, man. Lawrence Toafili, 30, which I thought Lawrence Toafili had a good game. He ran really physical and found some first downs and made some stuff out of nothing and scored that touchdown as well. Keziah Holmes, 24 yards, Trey Benson, 22, Rodney Hill, 19. And then, Jay Trav using his legs there on that game, on that 16-yard. But outside of that, though, Florida State, 10 rushers total on the stat line, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Keziah looked really good tonight. They're using him in the screen game. He looked good running the ball. I think there's a decent chance that he's your starting running back next season. Obviously that's going to be a very good and very heated competition, but he's as talented as anybody in that room. But to see CJ Campbell have a big night, Sam Singleton got a handful of carries in that fourth quarter, which you love to see. That I will never doubt Norvell ever again on his running back evaluation. Clearly, that man knows what he wants in a running back, and he always finds the good ones. Because I mean, like 10 rushers tonight, and all of them provided something solid.
Yeah, they did. Then too, looking at the receiving room, it was spread out everywhere. And this is where you too look at Tate Rodemaker and say, yes, Florida State can get down the field with this guy. And I understand, yes, you're facing North Alabama, poor opponent, yada yada. Yes, that's fine. But if you just look at Tate Rodemaker and some of these throws, you know the accuracy for the most part is there, and that's going to take a little while. That's where he's going to have his first team reps this upcoming week, and he's going to build even more chemistry. But I do like that he was able to spread the ball around too. We saw true freshman Vondravius Jacobs make a phenomenal catch from also Brock Glenn, who was in the game there at the very end. But Florida State, a wide range of receiving yards here, 273 on the night. 59 yards is your leader with Jaheim Bell, Florida State transfer tight end from South Carolina. And then it's a variety outside that with Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Lawrence Toafili utilized really heavily in the pass game. I kind of think of Lawrence Toafili sort of like how Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers are using Rashad White. They like him a lot with his hands, put him out in space and put some moves on. And that's how they're using Lawrence Toafili here in Tallahassee. But outside of that, Florida State spread the ball around there as well. Tested Hill also almost making a crazy grab on the sideline with one arm, almost gets the foot in bounds. But that's practically the offense as a whole.
Yeah, I don't really have any extra thoughts. The play call was very vanilla early on, which we expected. Norvell didn't want to tip his hand against Florida for next week, but it was a very ugly start. North Alabama was running every trick play they had in the book, and you could tell it was catching the defense off guard. And once they got settled down, it was fine. I'd still like to see them get off to a better start. Renardo Green didn't have his best game. That touchdown on him was kind of rough. He was in a great position and just didn't make a play. Had a defensive pass interference. Almost had an interception, but it was offside, so ended up being called back. You'd love to see the defense get off to a great start next week. They're going to need to against Trevor Etienne and whoever they throw out there at quarterback with Mertz hurt for the people that missed it earlier. But just sluggish starts. Like I was saying earlier, we've been seeing them all year, and they've got to get over it. They really have to get over it going forward because this is when you have to play your best ball.
Yep, exactly. And looking at the defense, Pat Payne, I thought was all over the place.
Great.
His deflections at the line are phenomenal. If he's not able to make it to the quarterback, he's using his vision and stand at the line to disrupt a lot of passes, and that's working out well for him. But he led the team in tackle 7, going down to Tatum Bethune at 5, Renardo Green with 4. But Jarian Jones too, man, he's having a stellar month of football for the Seminoles. I think Jarian Jones has been an absolute stud for Florida State's defensive back room. Easy. And that's saying a lot about a dude that's really, a guy that took a little while kind of buying in there and, had some hit or miss inconsistencies throughout his early years at Florida State, but he's really put it on the defensive side for the Seminoles.
Yeah, he's been good. Everyone kind of expected Greedy Vance to hold down that slot position. Jarian Jones said, I'm still here. I can still make plays. Forced fumble on a sack, an interception. He was definitely the senior that showed up the most this weekend. We all assumed Jordan Travis would have done that if he didn't get hurt, but credit Jarian Jones, man. No one on the team got blasted more than he did online. If we're being honest, his first year was rough.
Oh yeah,
and he's turned around. He's become a very, very good defensive back and one that could possibly be drafted come April or May, whenever the draft is this year. He's been impressive. He really has been.
He has. And I'm super happy for him. He shows up for some big plays there, but he was just all over the place this evening, which was great. Just kind of looking forward ahead now. Been on here for a little bit. Don't usually spend this much time on instant reactions, but this one's little bit of a different animal. Wasn't expecting this, VZ, to have
No,
a 25-minute at this. So I was thinking maybe that's just a 10-minute quick one
same.
in and out, and we'll talk a little about Florida. But here we are. Wasn't expecting this. Where looking at the stat sheet too, outside of Jordan Travis, Florida State does what it needs to, 58-13. They move on now. Keep an eye on this Washington game. Don't have the score yet for that.
It's
But
22-20 right now. Washington's winning, and they
Okay.
just gave it away to Oregon State. I'm guessing a punt.
Okay, so and
Yep.
that's in the
It's fourth quarter, just under
fourth,
8 minutes
the fourth.
left.
Okay. So, if Washington goes on the road, beats number 10 in the country, and now looking at Florida State still winning and putting up 58 points without Jordan Travis, is there going to be a conversation of now Washington moves up after this week, or I'm looking even more ahead of that. If Florida State does what it needs to do and beats Florida, it still seems like Florida State should hold on to a spot in the college football playoffs.
Yeah,
But we've seen crazier things. I'll just say that.
I mean, again, Michigan and Ohio State have to play next week. Someone has to lose that football game, and I don't think they get in over. If Florida State was to win out, they wouldn't get in over an undefeated Power 5 conference championship. I don't care what Kirk Herbstreit and Desmond Howard say about Florida State's resume. An undefeated conference championship is not missing the playoffs. They're just not. There's surely going to be talk about what the committee does looking at Jordan Travis's injury and how the team plays in place of him. Florida State was down, 13-3 or 13-0 when he went down, and
Yeah.
they were able to overcome that. So we'll see what ends up happening. I don't know that they'll take that much away from how the offense look this week as much as they will next week. And who knows what's going to happen in this Washington game. Obviously, a lot of time left in that football game. If they move Florida State down to 5, honestly, who cares? It's really just more talking points for ESPN and Fox and whoever else want to talk about it. Let football play its way out for these last couple weekends, and Florida State wins out, they'll be where they need to be.
Yeah. I think it will be something that we'll watch, and Florida State, big game ahead. You got to go on the road in Gainesville, rival. They would love to disrupt everything, and they have nothing else to lose. Why not? And it's going to have to be a big time showing for Tate Rodemaker as he steps out on the field into the swamp. And it depends on if Florida State, like we were talking about earlier in this game, a couple of units have got to take a next step, and also got to look at the health of a couple of guys like Maurice Smith and Renardo Green, and also see what availability now. Keep an eye on it with Kalen DeLoach, who is a major piece on that defense. But Florida State did what they needed. They literally put up 58 points without J-Trav. I understand North Alabama, but I think you can get that good feeling from Rodemaker being able to clean up a few things. You can work with him, and I think they're going to trim off a little bit more of some stuff in this offensive game planning scheme wise that can fit him better, because they're going to have to, because they don't have 13 back there anymore. And this is going to be a big time reliability, and they're going to put a lot on the shoulders of that running game room with Trey Benson, Lawrence Toafili, and the handful of other guys behind there. Florida State's going to utilize those guys a ton, and it's just going to be some late nights for Mike Norvell moving forward.
I mean, if they're going to rely on the run game, the offensive line has to be better. I know we already mentioned it, but on Trey Benson's touchdown, Trey Benson met the defender before the pulling offensive lineman could. And how are we 11 weeks in? They've still been able to clean up counter. This is Norvell's bread and butter. They're going to have to stay ahead of the sticks. They can't get into 2nd and 10s and 3rd and 8s next week. They're going to have to be 2nd and 4s, 3rd and 1s. They got to make things as easy as possible for Tate Rodemaker. And like I said earlier, hopefully they'll clean up some of this play calling, make the reads easier. The receivers have easier catches. We'll see what happens. And depending on what happens in this Missouri game for Florida, you may be playing a very desperate Florida team who has to win to get in a bowl game. Right now they're down 30-28 with 5 minutes left and just got the ball back. But who knows? We really don't know what's going to happen yet.
Nope, we do not. So we did not get to watch the whole press conference with Mike Norvell. We'll do that afterward here. And then if we have any kind of updates, make sure you guys are following us on Twitter, Facebook. We're also posting a lot of stuff here on YouTube. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. But make sure also to staying tuned into NoelGameDay.com. Tons and tons of coverage going out. We also heard from Jameis Winston too early on in that game after Jordan Travis's injury and sent a really powerful message. So that is up on our site right now if you guys want to go check that out. A lot of college football, former Noles, Tim Tebow, a lot of big names across the college football world sending some thoughts and prayers too, as we do as well. Just a super, super emotional night. Like after that happened, I couldn't imagine for anybody being there in the stadium as well, but you just kind of don't want this game to continue and for this team to go out there. It took a little while and expected. These are young men that just lost one of their best friends, most likely for the season. For see them to bounce back and put up 58 points on the board and not allowed points again from the Lions, I think is super impressive and shows what, how strong this team is mentally as a whole, as a family. So we'll have some more updates hopefully soon for you guys. Mike Norvell will speak to the media on Monday. So I'll be talking most likely Jordan Travis and maybe hopefully an update there. And then we'll also be talking about Florida. We'll also be live here on Wednesday night of next week at 7 p.m. as we preview Florida State versus Florida. So we'll be down there in Gainesville as well on Saturday, and we'll have an instant reaction just like we're doing here this evening. So, tough, definitely bitter, sweet night, but Florida State stays perfect on the season, 11-0, stays undefeated at home. So congratulations to Florida State, and shout out to the 2013 national championship team there. That was awesome seeing Lawrence Toafili score that touchdown, VZ.
That was cool.
And PJ Williams is running all over the end zone, and seeing Timmy Jernigan run over there, and and Telvin Smith too, running his pregame speech and the huddle there. Just what a wild roller coaster ride for emotions tonight for Florida State fans.
Yeah, just all over the place. And I'm sure the team's going to get showered and head over to TOC as soon as they possibly can, because Travis was posting him watching the game in the hospital, reacting to it. So I'm sure the team will be over there pretty shortly.
Yeah, that was cool. Jordan Travis uploading to his Instagram story a picture of Brock Glenn scoring his first touchdown, congratulating him. So, crazy night. But as always, thank you so much for listening here to us. We will be back here on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock as we preview Florida State versus Florida. Everybody have a great evening and safe travels back home. Peace.